Here we are walking into the Taylor factory. Is this the factory right here?
This is the factory. Part of it. One of the buildings.
Okay.
There's your firewood bin for when you get frustrated with your... Oh, awesome.
And then there's a ton of koa over here yesterday when I went through here. And when you're camping, it's kind of fun to burn koa. But
yeah.
That wall I was telling you about, like that wall last night, this is what he used.
Yeah, that's a scrap piece from a mahogany neck block, right?
Yep.
And that's something that's kind of unique to Taylor is that they quarter the sections of the log, so rather than doing the kind of parquet floor long neck sections, they cube it and build a 3-piece neck. So it's
cool.
Something distinctive about Taylor right there.
Campus that we just kind of let them hang out and acclimatize to wherever it is. Here's a cool thing because it stays pretty consistent in San Diego, but we actually want the wood to dry out and move and do all the stuff it's going to do in this form, so then when we start to really build with it, it's not moving at that point in time. We want it to move and kind of mellow out here. And we get tons of mahogany in here as usually. Like these are for neck lengths when it's in the 4x4s. Just got that way. And then these 2x10s, I guess. 2x10s are going to be like bodies for the T5 or the T3. You know, some of the mahogany bodies. There's some Sapelli lumber, which is in our ones and twos.
So this is all the tropical hardwoods where they dry out?
Yeah, this just comes from Central America. This actually comes from Western Africa. The Sapelli is a mahogany from Western Africa.
Okay. I guess
sometimes you see crazy stacks of koa or something in here.
So in San Diego, they can just all dry out here.
Yeah. Here's some cocobolo. So some cocobolo uke sets. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Ebony over here.
And ebony for the bridges. And one of the cool things is we bought a mill in Cameroon, and I don't know if you saw that video that Bob did, but what he found is for years people have wanted black ebony, on their wood. So a lot of countries, we stopped being able to get ebony from them. Cameroon is really the last legal place you can get ebony. And what he found when he was buying from the people that would bring in the wood from the forests and stuff is it's like, how do you find black ebony? What they would do is cut down the tree, split it open, and if they see mostly black, they cut it up, buck it up, and then hike it back out, because all the ebony's deeper into these rainforests. There's no ebony next to the roadways.
Right.
Yeah. And the roadways themselves are not really roadways as we know them in the Cameroon. And he's like, well, what if it's not black? He goes, oh, we just go to the next tree and cut that down. And he's like, well, how many trees do you have to cut down to find one black one? And he goes, well, we'll probably get 1 in 10, 2 out of 20, we'll get a black tree. And he's like, what do you do with the rest of the ones? And they just would leave it on the forest floor. And really our idea is that we're gonna build with ebony for a long time, and if it continues at that rate, we're just not going to have ebony. Cameroon's going to say we're done with this. You've taken all the forest down and to get that black ebony. So Bob made a decision to really just make smoky ebony with the streaks and all that stuff, something that's really cool. And as wood guys, I like all the streaks and rain patterns. I mean, the things we love about wood, like this cocobolo. I don't think I've ever seen a cocobolo block before.
Probably weighs 200 pounds.
Yeah. You know, we embrace that figuring and the grain structure and everything. So to have just a plain black ebony, it kind of goes against what everybody loves about that. So the new 800 series is going to be strictly, you'll see it when we go over to the neck part. You'll see a lot of 800s with a real streaky, we call it smoky ebony, that just has just some really cool streaks in it. That's fun. So it starts in those big chunks you saw out there. We glue two pieces together, and then it cuts out this whole body, and then it's all hollowed out, like it, so it has kind of a bowl in it. So one of the first names of the T5 was the nut bowl, because it's a totally hollow bowl, kind of carved out of there. Can I get a little closer? Yeah. Thank you. Control, man. What's that? What's the moisture meter? Okay. What's that? Moisture meter. Oh, interesting. How much variation is there on in moisture? It's usually like 4 to 11 max. Other than that, then we got to cut and let it sit on the stick. Like they're doing the sticks over there right now. And then we put it in the temperature-controlled room. We can wait for it to dry out a little bit more, and then we'll put it into the body. Thank you. Yeah, no problem.
What's that doing over here?
Sealing the rosette. So that's put all over there. That's these slots in. And then these usually the finish to seal that out. So when we glue in the rosette, it's been adhered into that. So it glues that. some of the cuts release some tension in the wood, and it'll start to change and move. So we want it to move as much as possible. We come in here and kind of stabilize. These are another modification. These wheels.
Really? That's something he's probably
Bob Taylor's invention.
Yeah, these wheels basically, he's putting together backs and tops and gluing that center seam together. He puts it on that as basically as a full rotation. Once he's done doing all that, it'll be dry when it comes back around. With all the woods come in, we just do pallets of wood. Often we'll have a stack of sides and a stack of backs. And they go through here and they actually grade them and match them and everything, because you want the back and sides to match when you load the guitar.
cutting sides.
Yeah.
Can it make me coffee?
Oh, that's okay. I'm going to machine.
I wish it could.
So we got you back downstairs.
It's not almost a year.
It's a bit
Yeah. It's not bad.
One of the hallmarks of Taylor is our consistency, and part of that is really treating the wood and getting it stabilized outside and then the mill, and then laser cutting all the backs and sides so everything just fits together perfectly. Because if you can easily get that consistency, then you're always, it's a little piece of each process that really makes the consistent guitar at the end of the day. Machine that Bob built in high school. It's, you know, plumbing pipe with a barbecue charcoal starter that heats it. We still use it today because it works really good for bending all these little purflings and little pieces of wood. So it's funny, we have all these crazy robots that are, you know, 21st century stuff, and then we have Bob's high school, you know, shop project here that still
Looks like it's
still
been
works.
updated some.
Yeah, we've kind of updated a little bit and built it more.
They run the purfling in
Yeah.
this side here.
Yeah, that's hot, and then kind of pull this back and forth. we were programming everything, and it would pick up a guitar, put it on the buffing wheel, and then just drop the guitar. And it was like 40 guitars before they really figured out the whole process of programming it. So it got nicknamed Buffy the Guitar Slayer. So now we just affectionately just call her Buffy, because she doesn't usually make many mistakes like that. A couple years ago, though, I did have, right before Christmas, I had a presentation series and a Koa on order. And it was at this step, and somebody left one of them in the rack where it picks up the guitar, and then they picked up the guitar, put it in there, and somebody put another guitar in its spot. So Buffy came back and dropped the PS into the Koa guitar, and those ones didn't make Christmas for me. They're both on my orders. I was like, oh, really?
Oh, that's rough.
But it's kind of cool if you look at the buffing wheel. The compound comes down on, and the buffing will actually move back and forth as the robot's pushing it, so you always have that exact right tension on it. And as the buffing wheel goes, it wears just a little bit, so it's compensating for all that stuff. And then you have like the buffing compound actually sped onto the wheel.
Oh yeah, you can see it up there, because the buffing compound usually comes in a big waxy brick, and you can see it up there on the right, or left rather, where it's coming through and it's just being pushed against the wheel. That's really cool.
So basically the basic of everything, like we use robots and lasers and all that stuff to do the basic mundane work that if you've ever done woodworking, there's lots of mundane, mind-numbing, sanding and doing all the things that aren't the artistry of it, but are just the basic work. And that's really what we use the robots for. And then we have guys like Hector, or some of these guys, or Sammy in there, do the buffing dance to get that fine tune and the artistry part of woodworking.
So one of the questions that comes up often is, whether or not the guitar is actually handmade. And, today we have these remarkable tools that kind of allow us to take the quantitative judgments out of these mundane tasks and allow the builders to really focus on the qualitative things, like voicing a guitar, or, doing these very fine detailed things. And so, the builders of the golden age, had they had access to this stuff, they probably would have used it readily. And so yes, there's a lot of hand elements still in making the guitar, and these things allow us to make them even better and more consistently. So.
Now we have electrostatic finishes that the robot does it.
It's applying the finish right there.
Apply the finish and electrostatic, so we have about a 20% overspray. And you look underneath, there's a whole little filter system that collects up whatever's oversprayed. That's a much more, we use a ton of less finish actually.
Yeah, it's because it's electrostatically bonded, like an ionized car finish.
This is from the
and it cures very quickly in the UV, but.